Hi, TMFA crew. Dialect coach Chris Lang here today on Technique Tuesday. I'm here today, and I think I'm going to keep this one relatively short and sweet today. I do still want to, if you have questions, I'm here to answer all of those. If you want to take a pop at the comment section for any accent questions that you might have, I'm happy to answer your questions in real time or even circle back to them in the comments. But today, I'm here to talk about accent acquisition skills. Big kind of word there. This is an important concept for those of you who are interested in learning accents at any level. Whether you need an accent for a specific role, or if you need a series of accents for your career in general, if anyone has ever told you, hey, you should look into learning an accent XYZ, you need a general American accent, or anything like that, this is for you. Accent acquisition skills are the techniques and things that you need to learn to be able to do accents of any sort. Think of it a little bit like the basic level skills and techniques that you would need to know to play a sport. Right? If you want to play tennis, you're going to need to know how to swing the racket, hold the racket, hit with spin, forehand, backhand, overhand, volley, all those sorts of things. That's the basic technique and skill that you need just to be able to play the game of tennis. Accent acquisition skills are identical to this for you as actors. It's really crucial that you have a good foundation of accent skill, because I guarantee someday in your career, you're going to be faced with an opportunity to audition for something. Your agent or manager will get you submitted to something. You'll get called in by casting, and we'll look at the breakdown, and you'll say, oh, they're asking for an accent that I have never done before. And this audition is in a day or 2 days or something egregiously short time period like that. And you need to know what it is to do in that situation. Obviously, you're going to work with an accent coach because you got a really quick turnaround. So you're going to find yourself, if you haven't already, you're a good professional dialect coach who's a key dialect coach for you and your career. But you also need to know what to bring to the table to make that process easier and faster and more efficient so that you stand the best chance of being successful when you walk into that audition. So you can be the best actor possible and do the best acting that you are capable of. That's the biggest thing. Whatever technique or ancillary technique to your acting technique that you pick up, whether it's accents or stage combat or horse riding or stunt work or whatever it is, it's only useful to you in as much as it makes you a better actor, gives you the opportunity to go out and shine in front of casting and to book more roles. Accents are here to be able to expand your casting opportunities so you can be submitted for more kinds of roles than just the ones who look and sound like you do in your everyday, natural, native, preferred accent. So let's go back to this skills thing. What exactly is it that we are trying to learn in terms of accent skills that apply to every accent? Good question. The easiest way I would say to break this down is to see it in a series of chunks. So the skills that you're going to learn from a good professional dialect coach that enable you to learn any accent are going to start with awareness. Awareness is the first step in accent training because awareness is everything. Language and our ability to use it and how we talk on a daily basis is largely a subconscious, sublimated process. As I'm talking to you here today, I don't have to think about how I'm talking. I don't have to manage the way my tongue is moving, my jaw, my lips, any of it. I just move it. It's a function of my desire to communicate images and thoughts from here to you. So I'm not managing any of this process. So my language is therefore kind of tucked in the back of my brain here, where I call this the set it and forget it part of your brain, where anything that we have learned so deeply that we can habituate that process is back there. So awareness is the first step. because we have to bring everything that we are working on and working with on our day-to-day lives, we have to bring that up into consciousness all of a sudden. So we have to sort of lift it up into our conscious awareness. Because until we are aware of what we are doing, how we are using language, what our own native preferred accent is, till we have any awareness of any of that, we actually have no hope of being able to change it to anything else. We really are just locked into our own, frankly, wonderfully, useful and efficient habits of language. I'm seeing a question here. Katie is here. If anyone needs help refining an Aussie accent, I've helped other actors before. Katie, I want to thank you for the good intentions there. However, it's incumbent upon me to say this. Unless you are a professional dialect coach, do not give accent advice or help on this page or anywhere else in this industry. It's so important that when actors need accent help and the ability to be coached at a high level to get ready to perform at a high level, that they have an actual professional dialect coach and not necessarily, what we describe in the industry as a helpful hobbyist. That's usually an actor who has some gift with accents on their own, maybe was really good in their voice and speech class in college at their acting school, but really doesn't have the level of professional skill required to linguistically, artistically, and practically coach the accent for the actor so they can work at their highest level. So thank you for, I appreciate your heart and I hear you. So, and I don't mean to, stamp you down, because your heart, your instincts are in the right area. We want to help our fellow artists, but certainly do not give accent advice here. That's why I'm here. I'm here as an accent expert to make sure you guys get the best kind of advice possible for your careers. We want to make sure you're working at the highest level. So thank you, Katie, for that and giving me the opportunity to, explain, because you are new here. Anybody else who is new here as well, if there is any accent stuff that needs to happen, please do come to me. I am here to help. Again, I want to make sure you guys get the best support possible. So let me get back to this idea of awareness. Awareness. Again, we can't alter anything we're doing until we understand how it's currently being done. I talk often in with my private clients in my workshops about a few phases of learning that we go through. This is how awareness works. We begin in the first phase, which I'll describe as unconscious incompetence. Think about it this way. Ignorance is bliss. I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know how it's working, and I'm not even aware that it's working. Or that, and this, by the way, applies to anything in your acting technique toolbox. Anything that you ever learned, you've gone through this process. So we start in unconscious incompetence. And then you move over and you begin working with conscious incompetence. So this is where somebody, maybe an agent, manager, an accent coach, has said, hey, there's a thing going on here in your accent. Are you aware of it? And you go, oh, I guess I am now. And so you become aware for the first time. You're consciously aware of the thing, but you don't know what to do with it yet. You don't have any extra information. You don't have a technique that can help you. And then your accent coach says, hey, let's try these things. Let's work these exercises. And you move into conscious competence, where now you have a thing to try to put in place to replace your old habit, perhaps. And you know you can do it. The issue, the challenge, is you've got to put some conscious control to it. You have to think about the thing to make it happen. Then you move from there and you work on it and you habituate that behavior. And we move into unconscious competence, where now you have a new habit that you can use instantly if you want to, depending on the context. Certainly for accents, we don't want to change your native accent, your preferred accent. We want to keep that. That's a wonderful, marketable skill. But we also want to be able to flick a switch and enter into a new accent for an audition, for a role, for a meeting, for some purpose, right? So that's awareness. That's where we start. So I'm looking at another couple questions here. Amy Lynn Woodall is here. Thanks, Amy Lynn, for joining us. Has a question. I work on keeping my southern accent gone. It's a major struggle. I'm working on speaking with a basic American accent. What's the best way? Good question. That's kind of a big question. I'll start at the beginning. Working on keeping your southern accent gone. I would recommend don't do that. Your southern accent is probably amazing. And it's probably wonderful. I'm willing to bet that. And what's more, it's a marketable skill. Your agent, your manager, casting, everybody, nobody wants you to lose a marketable skill. What we do want is for you to be able to modulate that accent or acquire different accents to use given the right context. So, because not every role you play is going to speak with a southern accent. And because every one of us in this world has an accent, if you speak with language, you've got an accent. If you speak in sign language, you've got an accent. We all come with accents, so every character we play also comes with an accent. That accent may be like ours, similar to ours, or really not like ours at all. So in Amy Lynn, in your case, I would say, think about like, where is my native accent, my preferred accent, gonna, give me the most bang for my buck? Because I want to have it there and ready and use it. And please use it in your everyday life. There is no reason to not use that. In terms of learning a general American accent, by general, I'm usually talking about an accent that is lacking very distinctive features in terms of demographic and location. Can't really place you in any one demographic group or any one, geographic location. That's typically what we mean by general American. I would say that what's the best way? Start with accent acquisition skills. That's what I'm talking about here today. I have a number of workshops starting up here in the next 10 days or so dealing with these specific skills. I'll be sure to post that information and talk about it towards the end of my Facebook Live here. But certainly work with a dialect coach. You have to learn how to do accents and then learn how to master this accent so that it can be there for you as a viable and wonderful and satisfying pathway for communication, just like your own accent is. So you can feel free to reach out to me, dialectcoachchrislang.com. I have a place where you can chat with me on there and can collect your information. We can have a phone call. Anything like that, I'm happy to have these discussions about where's the best place to start your training. Because it's often confusing. Where the heck do I begin this journey of accents? Because I need them for my acting. Everybody does now. Everybody needs accent training. So that's where I would start. Hopefully I answered that. Maita asks, I'm Spanish. How do I know what accent I have in English? Great question. If English is not your native language, what the heck do I do? I don't recognize accents very well, maybe in a second or third language. How do I know what accent I have? I would say it's likely, though, because of your first and your mother tongue background is Spanish, depending on what part of Spanish-speaking world you come from, whether it's Spain, Central, South America, Mexico, different parts of Mexico, or even here in America, where a lot of people speak Spanish. That's going to change your accented English, but I would say it's likely that you have a Spanish accented English of some sort. And without me hearing it, of course, I can't be more specific than that. But if your mother tongue is a version of Spanish, you then have a Spanish accented English. It's likely you're speaking English through the oral and vocal tract posture of Spanish language. That's the most likely. Okay, so Spain, yeah. So we're talking about a Spain and European Spanish accent then. That's most likely what we're going to be dealing with in terms of that. And that's a wonderful, wonderful accent to have, by the way, and a marketable skill to be able to play European Spanish roles. But again, we want to acquire new skills, to acquire new accents, to be able to play lots of different kinds of roles and open up casting. So I've talked about awareness as being the foundation, and it is. Very important foundation. From awareness, we begin to learn what our vocal anatomy is all about, how it works, where it is, what it feels like, these kinds of things. We move into now flexibility and mechanics. This is where we begin to enter into conscious competence. We have the ability now to learn how all this operates, move it at will, begin to learn how to isolate it and change it in a way that maybe we don't do in our native preferred accent. A lot of this musculature is habituated, like I said, and it's used together in a lot of ways. So we need to break through that and create some new ways of feeling this anatomy for ourselves. So that's flexibility and mechanics. For instance, in accent work, a lot of times I need to be able to say, hey, can we engage these little muscles here a little bit in this specific way? Can this specific part of your tongue lift up an arch? Or this other part, can it spread a little bit or narrow? Can your soft palate be lifted or compressed? Can the larynx be lifted? The pharynx, can we squeeze those muscles? All of that stuff is really important for us in accent work. So I would highly recommend that then once you get past the awareness into flexibility, you get real curious about all of this stuff. And like any physical thing you have ever learned, any skill you have ever learned, this does take time. So you have to sort of make your peace with that in a way, just for yourself, because actors are really good at lots of stuff, and we beat ourselves up when we're not instantly good at a lot of this mechanical stuff in accents. And I'm here to tell you that I'm a professional accent coach. There was a time where I couldn't do any of this. So, it's okay to not be good at it at first, but through diligent work and consistency, this is absolutely learnable. And you can master the mechanics of all of this stuff. You can totally master it and gain flexibility with it in a way that's outside of your native preferred accent or your mother tongue or whatever other languages you speak. You can gain that flexibility and mechanical mastery and control. So we move from there into the phase. The next phase is what we call coordination and flow. Coordination and flow is a really fun phase. I like it a lot. I like all these phases, but for me, coordination and flow is where we start to put the pieces together. We've taken the awareness and now some added flexibility, and then we got to smush them together and see how do we use all of these pieces together holistically in actual speech. Because it's one thing to be able to move lip muscles and tongue muscles in different ways and to, feel all that stuff. It's quite another thing to then organize it in actual speech. It's quite another thing to do that. And to be able to, how do I want to say this? To be able to feel your entire vocal tract holistically. Like all at the same time. Whereas my jaw, my lips, my tongue, my soft palate, my larynx. How do I feel all of that kind of at the same time? And how do I feel each individual piece to note the detail of what I have to do with it all at the same time, and probably listen to myself a little bit, because we have to fold in what we hear at some level too. If you work with me, I'll talk a lot about how you can't trust what you hear from yourself just because of the way your voice is produced and how you perceive it, but that you can trust physical sensations. Those are knowable. They're knowable, recreatable, learnable, very, very reliable, what accents feel like in your actual vocal anatomy. So that's the coordination and flow. And now we've started to speak in an accent, probably. And now it's a little bit like you've put on a coat that somebody gave you, and it doesn't really fit perfectly. Like one sleeve maybe does, but this other sleeve's way long, and it's made out of this kind of squeaky material that when I move, it makes this noise, and it's very stiff. So you can wear it as a coat for sure, but it doesn't feel like your coat yet. So the final phase of this is what I call accent integration. And this term was coined by Pamela Vanderway, the founder of Dialect Coaches Worldwide and dialectcoaches.com. And accent integration, it's such a wonderful idea and a wonderful way to think about this. How do we integrate accent into ourselves, into our performance, into our identity? Accent's a big part of your identity. If you watched the last Facebook Live panel I did with my colleagues from Dialect Coaches Worldwide, we talk a lot in that about what's my preferred accent, how do I even describe where my starting place is. And we take you through like a life history, in a way. Where did my accent come from? And you begin to realize my accent is a giant part of my identity. How I perceive myself, how I show myself to the world, how the world even sees me in my social groups and my social cues. It's a giant part of our identity. And because it's such a giant part of our identity, it's also a giant part of our character's identity too. And so we have to be able to create and craft and finely tune an identity that goes along with whatever accent we're using. I'm an American. So when I learn, for instance, a British accent, one of the first things that I will do with any British accent is ask myself, what's it like to be British? What's it like to live there? Depending on where the accent I'm targeting is. What's it like to live in this specific place? What would I do for a living if I lived there? What would it be like if I'd grown up there or somewhere else? What was it like to go to school there? What do they eat there? What's it like what are the politics like there? Or the sports? Or the religious life? Or the family life? Or the broader social life? What's it actually like to live there? Because those are the things in real life that actually craft somebody's accent. And so I need to be able to understand those for myself and kind of take on that culture and that place and that society and the personality of the people there so that I can actually speak this accent like a native speaker. That's the biggest thing, accent integration. I have to have an identity that I can own for myself. So the accent isn't just like somewhere over here. I'm always pretending at it. I want to be right there with it. That's the big thing, and I start all my work there and then tie it in a bow at the end with integration, to bring those two bookends together. Integration is a huge part of accent. It's often overlooked because we just get fixated on the sounds. This sound goes to this and this sound becomes this and all that. And it's easy to get fixated on that. It's the easiest thing to hear in an accent. It's the most superficial aspect of an accent, in my opinion, is the sounds. Everything else that goes along with it, where the accent comes from, who speaks this accent in real life, where that comes from, and the physical underpinning, that's all way more foundational than what are the sounds in the accent, because those things create the sounds of the accent. So these are, like, in a broad kind of brush strokes. Obviously, there's way more detail I could speak in. This is accent acquisition skills. And these you will need for every accent. If you master accent acquisition skills, every accent you ever want to learn in this world is open to you. Everything. Everything. Every accent. Frankly, all the languages now will become open to you. You'll have access into those worlds as well. So if you, in your acting career, say, wow, I could conceivably be cast in these kinds of roles with all these kinds of different accents, and you look at it and go, oh, God, I've got to learn 25 accents? Wow, it seems daunting. Learn the accent acquisition skills. Once you learn those skills, then everything else will become better, faster, stronger, easier. That first accent you learn with those skills, always a nice challenge. The next one, easier. The next one, also easier, and so on and so forth. And once you are able to slide these accent acquisition skills into and marry them with your acting process, the world is your oyster as an accent actor. Right? You really have the opportunity to start moving and shaking and really, really opening up the possibilities of what you can do as an actor. It's one of the things I get most excited about, is seeing my actors expand their possibilities in these ways. So I'm going to sort of leave it there, unless there are any other questions. I'm looking over at the chat here. And let's see, I'm not seeing any other real questions. So if you do have questions as you watch this, not live, pop them in the comments. I do circle back. I want to make sure that all your questions get answered, and that you get pointed in the right direction if you're looking for something. So I'll finish with this. Accent acquisition skills are the thing you need to start with. So if you think, oh, I have to learn this one accent, great. Accent acquisition skills. In the process of learning that, make sure that the dialect coach you come to, whether that's me or any of my colleagues at Dialect Coaches Worldwide or dialectcoaches.com, anything like that, you're going to learn accent acquisition skills as part of that. Eloise Bean, hello, you just asked a question. I just joined. How long, I believe, is what you're asking, does it take to learn an accent? Excellent question. I get asked this a ton. So I'm talking about these accent acquisition skills and the accent that goes along with them, the first one you do. Like anything and any artistic endeavor you engage in, it's going to vary quite a bit person to person. And, so there's not really a satisfying answer to this, except it depends. There's going to be a lot of variables that go into it, including your previous facility with languages or accents, anything that you already bring to the table in that way, any language mastery, physical mastery, musical mastery, any of those skills you bring to the table, those influence how quickly this process can go, how diligent you are in your practice, how consistently you meet with your coach. Those sorts of things are all there. And there's no real way to tell this until you actually start working with your coach. But plan on it taking a while. I usually start most of my clients out with a few months of steady work. Because again, these skills are foundational enough that we have to be able to master the accent skills plus the accent on top of them. Once you get the skills down, it doesn't really take that long to learn the accent. In fact, I could sit down and teach you any accent right now in about an hour. I could teach you all the features of the accent and what it sounds like and physically and all this sort of stuff. But unless you're able to do the things that I'm talking about in terms of physical alignment, adaptability, flexibility here and here, your ability to be aware of everything as it's happening, and then to understand how sounds are created and shaped and put them into a flow and coordination and the integration part, you'll be lost. It wouldn't, that would take a long, long time just to learn an accent. You've got to have these skills. So that's a great question, Louise. I would just say that, plan on some time. It's as difficult to learn an accent or to learn how to do accents as it is to learn to do martial arts. Believe it or not. Accents, harder than driving a car. Doing accents, I think, harder than flying a plane. I have a friend who's a pilot, and we've talked about this. I think it's harder than that. That's what I would say in terms of how long it takes. Plan on a few months, probably. And then, once you're in it with your coach, you'll know. Your coach will have a sense of what you're working with and all of that. Let's see here. Another question. Rania, thank you for asking a question. For one to say that they're capable of using different accents, does that mean to be able to switch straight away into it or speak it after preparation and rehearsal with the script? Excellent question. When do I know that I have an accent? I'll put it to you this way. If you have worked with your accent coach for a while and you have a few accents under your belt, your accent coach is probably going to be the best, monitor and, decider of, I think this accent's in place. It's ready. It is massively difficult, even for an accent expert, to swap accents instantaneously. Like, we practice how to do it, and so it is doable, but it's hard. It's hard to do. So for most actors, for instance, if you went into audition and you did the thing in the accent, the sides, and they said, hey, can you do that in another accent? It's perfectly reasonable to say, yeah, can I have a few minutes to get into it? Because the swap from one to the other changes your thinking, rewires your brain, realigns your physical self, lots of different things going on there. It's like, if you danced the choreography, it was a jazz piece or a tap piece. And then they said, can you do this again, that choreography, but like with ballet? You'd need a few minutes to like square that away. So true mastery of an accent, though, comes when it's not just attached to the thing that you learned it for in the script. It's relatively easy, comparatively. It's not easy, but it's relatively easy compared to extemporaneous accent work to be able to do just the lines you have. Especially if it's like half a dozen, a couple pages. If you have to do an entire movie where you're on screen, for an hour and a half, and you're talking a lot, that's a lot of frames of film that you're in. And that's going to require true mastery of the accent. So if the question you're asking is, when should I put it on my resume? I would say not unless you can do it accurately, authentically, and fairly easily at the drop of a hat and speak either a piece of text you have in your back pocket, which is usually what I tell my clients to bring around with them, or you can speak extemporaneously in it. But that's a great question. Very good question. Any other questions that we have right now? I don't think I see any other questions, but I'm still open to questions if you want. I'm just going to talk for a second or two more. So accent acquisition skills are the things you have to learn. And right now is a wonderful time to actually invest in some of this stuff. I understand there's an industry shutdown, so it's a little bit of a weird time. But if you're interested in learning accent acquisition skills, come to my website, dialectcoachchrislang.com. And under my booking tab, you'll see a workshop tab. I have a couple of new workshops starting next week on both Tuesday the 28th and Thursday the 30th. They'll be in the middle of the day, so hopefully that's a good time for all time zones here right now. But it's a 6-week workshop series focused exclusively on accent acquisition skills for accents. I'm going to do most of it through the lens of a general American accent, just because I get asked for that accent a lot. And so most people coming to me right now want that accent perspective. So I'll be doing a lot of stuff in that vein. But whatever accent you want to learn, you're going to need these skills. So this would be a good workshop for you also to be in. Katie Sloan says, can people hire you as an agent, or do you solely just train people to do accents? That's very kind of you to think of me that way, but no, I do not represent actors. I am an accent coach exclusively. That's my passion and what I do. Maybe one day I will delve into talent management, but certainly right now I'm just, not just, merely no, but I'm an accent coach. That's my passion. I'm really passionate about helping actors become excellent accent actors. Ronya, oh, Ralphie, you're here. Ralphie just signed up for my my workshop next week as well. So I'm looking forward to having you in the workshop too, Ralphie. Ronya has a question. How to know whether an accent coach is right for us? Yeah. Does it make a difference depending on our own accent? Great question. Let me answer the first half of that first. How to know whether an accent coach is right for you. When you're looking for an accent coach, you're going to do a lot of digging and a lot of due diligence because, you know, the internet is a wonderful, wonderful place full of wonderful things and wonderful websites. And there's a lot of pretty websites out there for a lot of accent coaches who are not professionals, who are these helpful hobbyists I talked about earlier. So you're going to have to interview people, look through a lot of websites, do your due diligence, because you want to ask them a lot of questions about, you know, what their process is, how they teach, if they understand acting process, if they understand linguistics, if they understand the actual International Phonetic Alphabet and not the one that's usually taught in drama schools, if they have, you know, what their background and training is linguistically and in accent coaching and technique, things like that, what their personality's like. Do you jive with them? Do you like them? Do they make you feel good when you talk to them? Or do they make you feel like you've done something wrong because you have an accent? All of these things happen. My best advice, to be perfectly frank, in terms of how do I find an accent coach that's right for me, dialectcoaches.com. Pamela Vanderway, who I've mentioned before, the founder of dialectcoaches.com and Dialect Coaches Worldwide, has made it her speciality in this business to vet accent coaches, so that every accent coach that she recommends to an actor or production is guaranteed to have a certain level of skill, technique, professionalism, and be able to really help you at the highest level. Every one of her coaches gets vetted. And her specialty is helping to pair the right coach with the right person. So dialectcoaches.com is a great resource, and she is always available to chat with actors and help them find the right coach, talk to them about process, things of that nature. Does it make a difference depending on your accent? For a good professional dialect coach, absolutely not. I coach actors from every part of this world, all over Asia, Central and South America, here in the States, the UK, Europe, everywhere. I'm able to coach actors from all over the place. But that's because I have a good linguistic foundational background. And so, you know, if I was a helpful hobbyist, I wouldn't have that. And it would be a little bit of a mystery about how I would get you from A to B then. That's usually what we run into. So for a good professional vetted dialect coach, absolutely no difference where you're from or any of those things. It's just a matter then of, do I jive with my coach? You know, in the same way, do I jive with my acting coach? When you have an acting coach for your career, you know, that person sticks around for a long time and they're part of your team. Your dialect coach, who then will be your key dialect coach, will be on your team. You know, every one of my clients, I tell them, I'm on your team now. So I'm invested in your success in these ways because I'm on your team. And yeah, so find a good professional key dialect coach, and certainly check out dialectcoaches.com, the contact page there. I just fill it out and there will be a response to you in very short order if you're interested in finding a coach for yourself. Let's see, any other questions? Not so far, so I'll just reiterate, accent acquisition skills workshops in the next couple of weeks here, starting the 28th and 30th, the middle of the day. I think I have one spot left on the Tuesday, so if you want that, sign up for it ASAP. I will post the link in the comments here so you can just go straight to it. The Thursday group, I definitely have some slots open for that. So, you know, sign up for that one as well if you'd like, but try Tuesday first. See if we can fill that one up. We also, you know, if you do have accents already in your back pocket, you're like, well, I worked on these for a while. I had them maybe from drama school or wherever it was from. We have these things that we're offering through Dialect Coaches Worldwide called Accent Gyms. This is a one-off drop-in class where you're able to show up and we'll offer you a scene and a scene partner. So let's put this accent on its feet. Let's see what we got here. What can we trust in our work? Let's go for that. So this week I have, let me just, gosh, I can't even remember the times now. This week, in fact, tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Pacific, I'm doing a general American accent gym. So if you want to flex your accent muscles in a general American and just, you know, play it in the scene, get some feedback, see how everybody else does, respond to their feedback, or the feedback I give them rather, then that would be a perfect opportunity to see what your general American accent is up to these days. And, you know, right now, my accent gyms are on a social distance discount. So normally it's $50 to drop in, $35 right now. So real budget friendly. You're able to just pop right in and give it your best shot. So that'll be tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific, noon Mountain Time, and 2 o'clock Eastern. Friday the 24th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, I have a West Texas accent gym. This promises to be fun, and you get to see me in a cowboy hat just because I come prepared for all of that. But West Texas is fun for me. My mom's family is from West Texas, so an accent that is near and dear to my heart. So sign up for that one. The following week, in addition to the accent acquisition skills workshops, on the weekend, Saturday the 2nd, I'm going to have another general American accent gym and what I'm calling a wild card accent gym. So this is where every actor gets to bring an accent of their choice. And we get to see what it's like to act in an accent opposite somebody else's other accent and see what that's like. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, follow the links in the comments. And never feel weird about reaching out to me. I'm here to help. I want to make sure you guys get support. So reach out to me in the comments. You can email me via my website. That's probably a great way to get in touch with me. And I'll be here on TMFA kicking around. So that's it for me today, you guys. Any other questions, put them in the comments. Otherwise, I am out. You guys have a great Tuesday, a very good week. Stay safe, stay inside, drink lots of water, stay hydrated, but do treat yourself to something scandalous like a piece of chocolate every once in a while. All right, guys. Peace. Much love. Bye.